logistics haven't worked out, but we're finally here now.
Appreciate it. I've been texting lots of questions. What would it take for a UFC fighter to finger you?
Not much, apparently.
I love that, you know. Actually, it's the most human moment where you're trying to banter back and forth with someone who's doing this all the time, and it gets taken out of context, and immediately everyone's like, oh, he's a misogynist or whatever. The Daily Mail are writing articles. What was that like, just to go for because you've not long won the belt?
Well, you got to watch what you're saying, mate, when you're going up in levels. And, you know, I'm a normal guy. I've not had no media training, nothing like that. See, it's different, like, with a bit of context behind it. Me and Nina know each other.
Of course.
We were talking off camera about, she gets like loads of mad questions on Instagram and stuff, and people are asking, has she been having sex with Dana White? People have been asking, has she been fingered by UFC fighters and all that? And then she asked me something about, she asked me loads of weird questions. That's her.
No one cares about that.
Yeah, that's her thing.
Yeah.
Mate, she can ask me 20 minutes, literally 20 minutes of weird questions. I throw one back at her just for a laugh, mate, just because I know Nina and I knew she wouldn't take it in a bad way. But, mate, you got to watch what you're saying, I guess. Sometimes you fucking swing and miss, don't you?
Mate, that was such a lesson for you.
It was. But I've seen it a lot since as well, like, even with the situation, like, I'm sure we're going to go into this throughout the podcast, but I'm in a bit of a sticky situation now with the politics of the UFC kind of thing. Who am I going to fight next? And should I defend an interim? Should I fight Stipe? Should I fight John Jones? What should I wait it out? Mate, doesn't matter what you say. People are always going to fucking jump on you. You know more than me. You're famous than I am. People are going to jump on you and be like, you said the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Like, if I want to fight Stipe, no, you shouldn't fight Stipe. And it's the same with anything, mate. You just got to... You can never, like, idiot-proof everything that you say. So I'm learning, mate. I'm learning on the job.
I think that part of the problem is when you come into it looking like a sort of a squeaky clean guy. You had a very wholesome image, and you're very down to earth, that you're just there to make any little mistake wrong. Whereas someone like a Sean Strickland is almost uncancelable because they know he doesn't give a fuck, but they think, you know, you do.
Yeah, definitely. Mate, well, like, when you see, like, I had to explain to, like, some female family members who are not into MMA, and they just see a headline of, like, MMA champion sexually abuses female reporter. And I'm just like,
what the fuck?
Fucking watch the full interview. When you see a 10-second clip, mate, and it goes like, and I ask her the question, have you been figured out? Yeah, it looks pretty bad. Granted, like, I hold my hands up. That doesn't look good. But if you watch the full interview, mate, when she asked me all kinds of stuff, and I think it's hilarious. Like, her stuff, I absolutely love who Nina is, what she's all about, and what she brings to, like, the UFC. Because a lot of the time, mate, as a fighter myself, especially fight weeks, especially big fight weeks, you ask the same questions, mate. It's boring. So I appreciate Nina for what she is, and I appreciate her channel. But, like, when I ask one back, it's like, fucking hell, this guy's some kind of fucking sex addict. So I don't know, some kind of weirdo, but it wasn't like that, mate. It wasn't like that at all.
She played it perfectly as well. She very much like a Ricky Gervais character.
She's great.
Knew what she was.
She's great. She's great. Nina's great. I've not got a bad word to say about her.
So going back early on to your UFC career, it was very apparent very quickly you're a different beast to a lot of these other heavyweights.
Yeah.
This combination of, like, if you were looking at other UFC fighters, you'd be like, he's kind of got the power of Francis, but the speed of Gon. Mm-hmm. It's a freaky combination. At what point did you sort of start to twig in your life even, I'm different to these other cats?
It's a great question. I'm still not sure. And I think that unsureness gives me an edge. If that makes any kind of sense.
Yeah.
I think that I'm, like, even now, I've just won, in my opinion, I've just beat the scariest guy in the UFC in a minute. But I'm still nowhere near satisfied. And I'm still aware that my sport is fucking absolutely crazy, especially at the heavyweight division. Like, in my opinion, MMA is like the most unpredictable sport in the world. And at heavyweight, it's even more so. And I just don't rest on me being better than everybody. Like, I know that skill goes a long way. I don't know. I think I know I'm jumping around a little bit here, but I think that my dad installed young to me, like, because I've been training with my dad since I was 6 years old, that this is like a sport. Do you know what I mean? You have to treat it for what it is. And what it is to me is just a sport. I don't look at it like a fight or I've got beef with anyone or anything like that. Like I literally try and hit them and don't let them hit me. And that's kind of the route. Like it's almost like it's almost like a game of tag for me. That's how I treat it. I don't treat it anything more. I try not to look at it too deeply and try and get in like a beast mode or a warrior spirit. Like I'm just doing a sport and that's the way I treat it.
You're a thinking man's fighter, mate.
I don't know about that, but I just try and see it for what it is.
Like, even to my low level of sparring that I've done, I felt the same way. Like, I never felt like I wanted to take this guy's head off. And I think that's the cleverest way to play it, because in a heavyweight competition, you know, the more you're thinking with aggression and I am going to bully you, you're sort of playing into the gambling side of it, and especially in the heavyweights, because you just really shouldn't be gambling.
Well, I think as a big guy, so big guys like our size, they come into the gym, they're 20 years old or whatever, and they're not used to getting hit. And when they do get hit, it's like, fucking hell, I've just been hit off this guy who I'm twice as big as. I need to get him back. And they don't know how to deal with it. Whereas, mate, I've been doing martial arts since I was 6 years old. I started as the smallest. Like, I started training adults classes. Well, it wasn't like adults classes. When I first started MMA, there wasn't kids classes. It didn't exist at the time. It wasn't, the sport wasn't developed enough to have like 30 kids on the mat training. Like when I was 10 years old, I was training with 20 adults who were in the 40s. You know what I mean? So, I've been used to like being the nail, so to speak. Like I've took a lot of shots and been in a lot of bad spots from being really young. So I just see it like that. Whereas big guys come in the gym and they don't need as much technique as other guys, because they're fucking massive. Like they just squish you. And because I started off really young, I've got that massive advantage on people, is that I'm used to taking the shots. And when I do get hit, I'm not flustered by it. Do you know what I mean? When I'm in a bad position, I'm not flustered by it. I'm just like, right, I'll just wait my turn. I'll get myself together and I'll wait my moment.
That's probably why you move so well, because with bigger dudes, movement is the hardest thing, right? You know, the footwork and stuff like that, it comes a lot harder to the bigger guys, which is why people like yourself, Fury and etc., they're the anomalies. But because you've been getting your body used to doing the same thing as you've grown into this fucking massive dude, you now can carry those techniques from being a smaller guy upward. You know, in terms of like weightlifting and speed training and stuff like that, are you tracking all your numbers, or are you sort of not really bothered about that?
To a degree, like I know where I'm at to a degree, but I'm not like, I lifted this last week, I've got to lift this week. Do you know what I mean? It's like, but just to touch on that a little bit, I've had some really good coaches as well. Like over the years, I've trained a lot of different places, and the speed thing has always been encouraged by everybody. I've always been fast, and I think I'm genetically fast anyway. I don't think you can definitely improve that to a degree, but I think I'm genetically fast anyway. But that's something I always wanted to keep up with the smaller guys. I never wanted to let my size hold me back, because you see a lot of big guys who they're just lazy bastards, mate. And I don't want to be that guy. But I always try and do it, even like lifting weights. I'm not lifting weights like bodybuilder. I'm not doing all time under tension stuff. Like I'm lifting the weights as fast as I can for a short amount of reps and putting it down.
Yeah. It fucking shows, doesn't it? In terms of, for me, the fight that made me go, all right, this is something serious. We've got a real talent in the UK here, was the Arlovski fight. I think you showed so many different aspects of your game in that fight. Not only were you know, and Arlovski is a legend, really. I mean, what a guy to still have that length of career. And you put it on him, didn't quite get him out there immediately. You had to have your composure. Yeah. And then the takedown and the submission, I was like, okay, you played with him and you were enjoying it.
Yeah, I mean, Arlovski, for me, he is literally one of the reasons I got into MMA. The UFC came to Manchester, which is where I'm from. Andrei Arlovski fought on the card, and we went to the weigh-ins at Manchester. I remember it like clear as day. I must have been like 12, 13 years old at the time. Arlovski got on the scales, mate, with these like cream joggers on. He had the fangs, you know, he had like the long hair, and he put his arm up and he was ripped, and the crowd just went like, he was big dude, and the crowd just went wild. So when I fought Arlovski, even though like now he's definitely on the back end of his career, he was on the back end of his career when I fought him still, but he was on a 6-fight win streak when I fought him. So he was coming back a little bit, but mate, in that fight, he punched me in the eyeball, and it wasn't a poke or anything, but I couldn't see him for most of the fight. So I hurt him early on. When I had him on the fence, I just unloaded because I couldn't really see. I couldn't really see where I was punching, so that wasn't my best performance. But definitely to get people like that on your resume is like, I don't know, I believe in like the rub. That's what we call it now. It's like the rub. And like when you fought good guys like that, you get a bit of, I don't know if it's like, it's obviously like a mental thing, but I felt like I belonged after I fought him.
Yeah, confidence for you has been a really interesting thing to watch that grow, because like I've seen a lot more of it recently. But the Volkov one must have been one that you got a lot of confidence from, because the way you